Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today or joining me today for this session. So the session's the job search strategies. So we'll basically just be going over where to look for jobs, what the job process looks like, the hiring process, and just basic stuff and strategies like that. If you guys have any questions, I do have my chat open just off to the side. So if you see my head go this way, it's just because I'm looking at my other screen. And feel free to write something in the chat, or you can unmute yourself and interrupt me and ask me any questions that you may have. But I'm just going to go ahead and get started. So yeah, we're going to talk about job search strategies and how they're important when you're looking for work. So throughout today's presentation, we're going to, again, be talking about where to look, networking, and then hidden job market, the realities of job searching and the job process, hiring process, and all of that stuff, and then what exactly you want to do next. So when looking for jobs, obviously the most important step is where to look. Job searching today is mostly done online. There's so many different platforms, as you can see on screen: Career Beacon, NB Jobs if you're in New Brunswick, the Job Bank for all of Canada, and then Indeed's another good one. There's also LinkedIn, there's also just Google Jobs, and then obviously word of mouth, which is not online. These job sites are typically used by a lot of us in Atlantic Canada, as well as, well, NB Jobs is just New Brunswick, obviously. But these jobs are also used just all over Canada and possibly even internationally. There are a lot of overlaps. So like you'll see jobs, the exact same job on Career Beacon and Indeed, but there's always a possibility that there's jobs posted on Career Beacon that aren't posted anywhere else. So you always have to be aware of that and then check. That's why it's so important to check different sources and that. While websites like Career Beacon and Indeed and many others are certainly helpful tools in your job search, it's also important to look beyond the online sources. My job at MCAF is hosting the networking sessions, and networking is such a big part of the job hunt process. A majority of job postings are not available online, with 55% of jobs being found through networking instead. So this could be creating a friendship or networking relationship with somebody that works as an engineering firm and gets you a job as like an engineering tech or something like that. 75% of resumes are rejected before they reach the hiring manager, and it's all due to the applicant tracking system. And then only about 5 applicants out of hundreds actually earn a face-to-face interview. Letting some people in. So networking is a really important step to the job process. If you're just applying online, that's great. But networking also just gives you the opportunity to talk to employers or talk to people that work for companies face to face, and they get to see who you are and not just who you are on a sheet. But what exactly is networking? The importance of networking has really started. Networking has always been an important part of the job process, but with everything being online more recently, networking has really become an important step of the hiring process. It's something that I always recommend, like you need to start networking. It's a really good strategy. And a good strategy is to go directly to the website of the companies that you're targeting, do some digging and pinpoint a few decision makers. So if you have a LinkedIn account, and say if you're looking for a job at MCAF, if you look up the Multicultural Association of Fredericton, you can see people that work there and you can see the jobs. So talent acquisition and hiring managers are the people that you'd want to target when you're trying to network. They're often the ones that would be in charge of the hiring process and the hiring decisions. So as you can see on screen, there's about 6 different steps that you can take. Connecting with those professionals on LinkedIn, asking them if they're open to further discussions by email or even perhaps a phone call. Ask them if they're aware of any openings. I wouldn't necessarily promote just forcing your resume. It's about being friendly and creating that professional relationship. So forcing your resume on them might just come across as you wanting to find a job, which is your goal, but it's also important to be personable when you're talking to these individuals. Share your enthusiasms and reasons why you'd want to work there. Again, when we're in the job hunt and we're looking for jobs, we can sometimes get discouraged and just want to find a job, but it's still important to be applying and know the companies that you are applying for. And then the last step is just to be patient. The biggest thing about the hiring process and the job search process is just about patience. It takes longer than we would like, obviously, but with the patience also comes with being successful. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others. That's an awesome thing to think about when you're going forward in your job hunt. And then what is the hidden job market? The hidden job market is a term used to describe jobs that aren't advertised or posted online. Employers might not post jobs for a number of reasons. For example, they might be trying to save money on advertising, or they might prefer getting candidates through employee referral. I know that in the past I have gotten jobs through people that I know and through my networking opportunities. It's just a great way to learn about somebody that you're interested in hiring. Why? It's cheaper than listing online or via print or in print via a paid service. Some companies want to keep hiring decisions as quiet as possible, so they avoid posting jobs online. Companies are more likely to get high quality applicants from current employees who both understand the needs of the job and have vested interest in recommending good candidates. And then employees are also motivated to give good referrals in the company. If the company offers a bonus to employees who recommend the applicant who was hired. That's just in some cases. It's not always the case, but it always is an added bonus if there's compensation by the company that you're working for. Tapping into the hidden job market by networking. It is possible to find these opportunities by expanding your network connections and sharing your professional objectives. Your first step should be to make sure you're reaching out using many avenues. So you can see the 4 steps on the screen on how is the best way to tap into the hidden job market by networking. So you can attend formal networking functions. So this could be career fairs, job fairs, conferences, chambers of commerce events. There's many different avenues like that. LinkedIn is also a great one, which you can see in the second step. Reach out to people in your networks. This could be college alumni, LinkedIn connections. I'm such an advocate for LinkedIn. It is a great avenue to utilize when you're looking for jobs. Setting up informational interviews with contacts in your industry. Consider sending a message to friends and family, letting them know about your job search. So if you are interested in administration and your cousin's girlfriend is an administrator for the government. This is the kind of connection that you could use, sending them a message, and again, connecting with them on LinkedIn or something like that. And a lot of times you can ask who's the right person that you can talk to about pursuing a position at this organization or this field, or setting up an informational interview. Basically what this is just kind of in the title. It's a professional interview in which you just get to ask questions. So you can just ask what the company's all about, what kind of people they look to hire, what kind of jobs they have that align with your education, things like that. And then say yes to invitations beyond traditional networking functions. Go volunteer with your friends or peers, go to your friend's baby shower, make time to swing by your neighbor's barbecue. Once you're at these events, be social, introduce yourself to people that you may not know. You never know when you'll meet the person who knows someone with an in. Networking is honestly the reason why I got the job at MCAF, is how I got my position, because I knew somebody that worked here before and that was able to speak on my behalf and tell the hiring managers at MCAF. So I can say that it works. To continue, have an elevator speech ready and practice it. If you've done everything above your time comes, you need to be ready. Is everybody here aware with what an elevator pitch or an elevator speech is? Just to give a brief little, awesome. Just to give a brief little description of what it is. It's basically like a 30-second, 1-minute speech all about yourself, and it's kind of like selling yourself. So an elevator pitch could just be like, this is my education, this is what I do now for work, or why you might not be working now, just like a quick little summary, and then what you're interested in and what you could bring to a company. Those would be my recommendations of what an elevator pitch is. It kind of looks different for everybody, I think. However, a quick Google search also has like things to add to your elevator pitch, how to condense it, how to sell yourself the best way you can, and how to focus on your positives and stuff like that, which is a great resource. Make sure your online networks reflect your latest skills and experiences. By building a strong professional brand online, you increase your chances of impressing someone in your network. So for example, I'm not sure if everybody here has LinkedIn, but LinkedIn, again, I can't say anything bad about it, but it's basically like an online resume platform that you're able to update and change and add to, take away all the time at any point. And basically, you just should always keep it up to date. If you finished a job and you're moving on to a next, make sure to update your online platform for when something else were to come in the future, or if you have new training or experiences, you can post about them and stuff like that. It just shows you're up to date on your online networks. And then consider researching mentorship programs that can introduce you to experts in your field. So for example, I know that Women in Business in New Brunswick has a mentorship program. So if you were coming in from a different country or from even a different province, it's great to use these kind of mentorship programs to just pair up with somebody that's familiar in your area that can speak to what it's like trying to find a job, or even they can speak for you or speak about you to hiring professionals. And to continue tapping into the hidden job market by networking, volunteer is something that's so important. It's such a great way to get involved in something that you're interested in, that is a hobby, or yeah, just something that you're passionate and interested in, and for minimal hours, but the consistency really shows your interest. So for example, if you're interested in tech or interested in just problem solving, we have something in Fredericton called Civic Tech, and in a couple of slides I can talk to you more about that. Subscribe to news alerts, follow companies of interest on LinkedIn, and consider subscribing to news alerts such as Google Alerts for companies you'd like to work for. So when you go on LinkedIn, say if you look up Multicultural Association of Fredericton, you can click a follow, and so you'll get alerts when a job opens up, or if they post a new job or something like that. And you can do that for most companies on LinkedIn or Google Alerts, or different things like that, or even Career Beacon and Indeed. I think if you were interested in, say, administration, you can get emails every time an administrative role opens up. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. Being shy is normal, but work on getting out of your comfort zone. It is not our human nature to to talk highly of ourselves and try to sell ourselves. Normally, we just try to stay more quiet. But when we're looking for jobs, it's so important to just, step out of your comfort zone and just sell yourself, sell all your best qualities, and sell all that stuff. Because it's you, and you want to get the best opportunities for yourself. So a quick story. I'm not aware of Kalita. However, I hosted a networking session with Civic Tech about 2 weeks ago, and the lady who runs it gave such great examples of how important networking is. She has been references on many occasions for people that are a part of Civic Tech, and it's just, Civic Tech is an organization that takes on projects within our community and fixes them. Their goals are like social change and innovation in our community, and it's a great organization to be a part of if you're interested in that. It doesn't need to be like IT. I know people that are in it that have PhDs in chemistry and PhD or undergrads in philosophy. It's just, if you have the knowledge and the drive to work in that setting, it's a great opportunity. But Civic Tech is only just one out of the thousands that are in the city. There's a lot of great volunteer organizations that hold such great value to networking. And I highly encourage you to check out what you're interested in our community and what kind of volunteer opportunities there are. So we'll do a quick recap, because I know that was a lot of information. And then we can just move forward. So takeaway from the last little blurb that I just said, online job search. It's a great way to see what's available in the area. Quick and easy applications a lot of times. You just need to upload your resume. It can test many companies at once, so you can apply to many companies at once. Many sites allow you to create a profile, which makes further applications easier. So Indeed, I know that you just kind of make a resume type thing, and then every time you apply to it, it just kind of sends your profile to them, which is kind of like your resume. It's very, very popular right now, online job applications and things like that, but it does come with many cons. So just not having that face-to-face aspect, and really you're not able to like physically hand in the paper. So like you're just missing out on that face-to-face interaction. Networking, the best way to increase your chances of being hired. again, it all comes down to the face-to-face, the personable interaction that you create. Gives you access to the hidden job market. So that could be companies are hiring internally, or the job ad is going through internally before it gets posted online. And so a friend might know and be able to tell you and connect you. It allows you to speak with professionals in your field of interest, and it can be done in many different ways. It also requires you to step out of your comfort zone, which is always important in job hunting, in my opinion. And then the hidden job market, jobs that are not posted online for many different reasons. Again, companies just not wanting to spend the money or valuing the employee recommendations. You need to network in order to have access to the hidden job market, which is something that you just have to remind yourself, and then can sometimes lead to creation of new positions because of what value you would bring based on somebody else's recommendation. Does anybody have any questions so far? I'm sorry if I'm zooming right through this. If you have any questions, you can just write it in the chat or unmute yourself. If not, I'll just keep going.
Hi, can I ask a question? This is Ellen.
Sure.
About LinkedIn, I know that coming from other countries in general, we have a different reference. So in my country, in Brazil, it's very common that people like to explain in details what you did or your achievements for each role you had in the companies. But I see that here we need to build a resume for a specific job that we are applying. So this makes me a little bit confused about how to do it properly in LinkedIn, so that it's not with too much details or too much information. So my question would be more like, for LinkedIn, would it be interesting to have just the more important things you did, or just the last 2 jobs you had, or what would you recommend?
Personally, I recommend putting everything on your LinkedIn, because your LinkedIn should kind of be a master copy of your resume. So say if your LinkedIn has everything, but you're applying to a job that just needs focus on 2 previous jobs that you had, you can just put on your resume to the company that you're applying to the 2 most relevant job experiences that you've had. However, your LinkedIn can just have everything. Does that make sense?
Yes. I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. Were there any other questions just before I go forward? All right. So now we're going to be talking about the realities of job searching. I find that this is a topic that's not talked about very often. And it's just very, very important to like just kind of realize. So when searching for jobs, before you even begin to search, something I always just recommend is taking a time to just sit back and just be like, okay, I need to remember that there needs to be patience throughout this process. It's not going to be easy. Everybody's looking for a job. There's a lot of competition. However, just being patient and knowing that the right job is going to come for you is super, super important in this process. As you can see, on average, only 5 applicants get called into a face-to-face interview. So I my previous job, when I was leaving, I was in job of hiring for the next position, and I think I got maybe 70 applicants, and we only had 2 people come in for interviews. So it is a big game, a big competition, but it's all about patience and knowing that there's going to be a point where you are asked for an interview, and you could be asked for 10. It just depends on the hiring process and the hiring managers and what exactly they're looking for. Landing the right job is a numbers game. The more resumes you send out, the more likely you are to get a call back. An extremely small percentage of those who apply for a job are actually called in for an interview. So by applying to more jobs, you can increase your chances. Of course, make sure that the jobs you apply to are a good fit, that you're not just applying to apply to jobs. Don't apply to jobs just to raise your numbers. Interviewing for a job that you aren't interested in is just a waste of your time and the employer's time that you're interviewing with. Commitment. So next to patience, you really do need to commit to finding the job. It is a very discouraging process. However, it's so rewarding because you'll always get to a point where the job is just the perfect fit for you, and then it just depends on if it's a week into your hiring or your job hunt, or if it's 4 months. The average job search in Canada does take about 3 to 4 months. While some professionals can find a new job right away, others take months to find a good fit. No one has infinite time to spend on their job search. That's why it's important to continue to network with other professionals who could help you. So again, volunteering or just going to networking clubs that Sally hosts at MCAF, or job fairs that you see in the community, to brush up on your interviewing skills. Even if you don't have an interview, while you're sending out your resumes and sending out applications and all that stuff, it's still important to practice your interviewing skills before you even get an interview, because say if you were to get an interview and it's a week away, you might just be overwhelmed and stressed about it. So it's good to periodically brush up on your interviewing skills and focus on what you would answer to questions like what's your weakness, strength, and stuff like that. Do your research and create polished, customized resumes that highlight your value. So kind of on the topic, or to bounce off the question that Ellen asked, it's always important to have like a master interview or a master resume, sorry, that has everything that you've ever done, from volunteering, all of your education, all of your awards, and all of your previous jobs. And then when you are applying to a specific role or position within a company, create a resume just for that you can take parts of your master copy resume. So relevant experience to this job, this volunteer experience, and then your education. And then customize the resume to highlight your value for that specific role. Doing these things right will reduce how long your job search period really is. The job search journey is like kind of perfectly put in this little infographic. So the prep, job goals, resume and cover letter, references, and then an online brand, which is like your LinkedIn, or creating a profile on Indeed, or different different job ads like that. And then the second step would be the actual searching. So finding the applications, following up with your applications after you send them in, utilizing recruiters. So reaching out to hiring managers or networking with hiring managers, and really utilizing the resources that you have. And then close interviews. And then after interviewing, you should always follow up thank them for allowing you to have an interview and look forward to hearing their decision. Negotiation. So just because they asked you for a position, it means that they want you. So if they're offering you a salary lower than what you believe you deserve, it's all about the negotiation. They do want you. There's a reason that they want you. Don't be afraid to ask questions, obviously within a reasonable scope. And then that is the job search journey. So job search tips everyone should know. Number one, apply to jobs even if you don't have 100% of the qualifications. That doesn't mean having a background in administration and then applying to an engineering role. That just means if you find a job that's posted for administration and they're looking for 5 years experience and you have 3, I would still apply, because you never know. They could not get any more applicants, or they could have a bunch of applicants that only have 1 year of experience. But you could also have people applying with over 5 years experience, but maybe they're looking for somebody that's more fresh. Moral of the story is just apply, even if you don't have 100% of the qualifications, as long as it's within your scope of expertise and background and experience. There's no harm in applying. Number 2 is don't worry about rejection. It's really easy to take it personal, thinking that it's something that you could change or something that you don't have and have to fix something or be the perfect candidate or be the perfect applicant. When a lot of the times hiring managers are just taking 10-30 seconds to look at your resume, and they're just trying to find the best fit for their company. Number 3, your LinkedIn profile is just as crucial as your resume. Again, when I was explaining to the question asked, your LinkedIn profile should just have everything on it, all the important stuff, all of your experience, volunteering, education, everything of that sort. It should just perfectly sell itself. And then again, like it is crucial, just as much as your resume. And then don't forget to highlight your soft skills. During COVID, accept that things have changed and that there's no real timeline anyone can promise. So because of COVID, the hiring process, I find, has gotten longer. I had a information session yesterday with CIBC, and she explained that their hiring process takes over 10 weeks. So right now they're hiring for people to start in like mid-June, which seems long, but I feel like it's more common now for people to try to get ahead of the hiring game. Number 2, expand the types of jobs that you may be interested in. If it's administration, there's a lot of things that you learn in administration that you can dull out into all these other positions, but it's just all about reading what the job is about and seeing if you do meet the qualifications or at least some of them. And then number 3 is be ready for video interviews. So there's a lot of interviews happening over Zoom or Teams now, which is interesting because again, you're missing that face-to-face interaction and the shaking of the hands and things like that. But there's this new thing out that is video interviews. So I know for sure JDI does it in Irving and big companies like that, but I do think that it's becoming more and more popular as a way to kind of weed out people who are serious about the position and people who aren't. So these video interviews normally have like 2 questions, and it gives you a specific amount of time to answer them just in the best way that you can. And then it just sends to the hiring manager, and they will look over that and then go on with the further hiring process. Tips to see through. If you aren't getting any responses, callbacks, there's very high chance your resume is not sending the proper message. Keep revisiting it and editing it. Your resume is a document that you should always be working on. You'll never have like a perfect finished resume. There's always things to add and always things to take out and stuff like that. Number 2, be patient. Brighter days are ahead, and remember, you are not alone. I know that there were, I think, even just after graduation, there was a period of like 2-3 months where just all I did was search for jobs. I was just trying my best to find a position that worked for me. And the process is hard, but it's very rewarding when you get to the job that you, or career that you just love. Don't be afraid to ask an employer for constructive criticism. What could I have improved on my next application for next time? So I often recommend to individuals that I work with to say, if you have you're successful and you have an interview, and then they decide to go with another candidate. Something I always recommend is thanking them for being transparent, but also asking if they have any constructive criticism or any feedback from your interview that you can take forward as you go on your job hunt. So this could be asking the employer, like, hey, thank you for the time of interviewing me. Thank you for letting me know that I was unsuccessful. Moving forward in my job hunt, I wondered if it'd be possible for you to give me some feedback from our interview. And a lot of times they don't have any problems doing that. When you're doing these interviews, they're taking down notes and different things like that. It could range from things that you just need to change, or it could just be this other candidate was just better, or this other candidate just aligned more with the job opportunity. So don't be afraid to ask employers. Obviously, it's hard to hear why you didn't get hired. However, it's something that you can take forward in your job hunt and makes you a stronger candidate going forward. And then number 4 is just taking a break sometimes. Sometimes it is really hard to continuously hunt for jobs. Taking breaks is very important to regroup and say, okay, why am I doing this again? What can I do to make my application better? And then lastly, what do you want to do next? So moving forward from this session, thinking about the things that you want to do, like, do you need to create a LinkedIn profile? Do you need to look more closely or dedicate more time to online job hunting? Do you need to look into maybe volunteering in the community and start your networking process? I host networking clubs, and tomorrow I'm doing one at the Delta Fredericton. It's actually an in-person one, which I haven't done since October because of COVID. And I highly recommend, even if you're not interested in the hotel industry, they have a sous chef, they have a pastry chef, a line cook, I believe, servers, bartenders, different things like that. They're always looking for like maids, but there's definitely much more opportunities at the Delta. So I highly recommend anybody, if you're interested in that, or if you're just interested in networking, or you want to see what an in-person job fair would look like. It's at the Delta Fredericton tomorrow, which is on Woodstock Road, and you can bring your resume. You can email me, bring your resume. I can print it off if you'd like, but it just gives you a chance to see what it's like. But moving forward, you can also look for career fairs or job fairs in the community. That's also a great way to network. That might be more in your realm of opportunities or expertise. Thanks everybody for joining the session today. I'm going to open it up to some questions if you have any. I can answer them to the best of my ability. And if I can't answer them, I can certainly figure it out and email you. So, do we have any questions?
Yes, this is Ellen speaking again.
No, that's okay.
I think that all this material you just shared with us it's really good. My main difficulty when I think about going for a job hunt is this part related to networking. Maybe because I'm new from in New Brunswick, new in Fredericton, and I don't know very well how things work here. So initiatives like this one that you just mentioned are very important. And I really get a little shy when I am in such this kind of events for networking because and I know that they are important, not only when you are looking for a job, but even if you're not looking for a job, but for you to get to know people that maybe in the future you know about a position that you can help someone, or even if someone will remember you and say, oh, there is a better thing for you, maybe you would be interested in things like that. So how to keep up this? Do you think it's important to have an agenda? I remember I had a friend, a colleague of a coworker in Brazil, that she had like an agenda, and she went for lunch every Friday with someone from another company. And I thought, wow, that's awesome. But I myself, I could never do that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So how do we start to have this kind of habit of taking attention for networking? What do you think that could be something not so difficult to do?
Yeah, I like completely understand. Even being from Canada and I'm new to New Brunswick, but it's challenging, like putting yourself out there.
Mm-hmm.
However, I think that's where volunteering is such a great thing, is because you're doing something that you know you have in common with other people that are there volunteering, and you meet people through that. So, for example, Civic Tech. Everyone comes with a different background, but they're all there for the same reasons. So it kind of alleviates some stress and some nerves,
Mm-hmm.
because it just, you're kind of skipping the step of like just kind of reaching out to a random person, rather than you can talk about some things that are you guys have in common at volunteer opportunities. Something with regard to like kind of keeping up with your contacts is you can get like little like contact books at like the dollar store, or sometimes if you have an agenda, they have them at the back. And that's how I keep track of who I meet. I have their phone number, email, and their name, and kind of a little blurb of what they do. So meeting Sally from the Multicultural Association through this, her email is this, and her phone number is this. Contact her if I'm ever looking for something, and so and so. That's kind of, that would be my recommendation on how to keep up with your contacts. I'm very admirable of your friend that would go every Friday with a new person. That is amazing, and she probably has a million contacts, but sometimes it's just hard to do that. So I think my best recommendation is volunteering. What's your background what's your job background?
I studied business administration and specialized in project management. I worked recently here in Canada at Service New Brunswick, receiving calls about COVID in the COVID line. And now I'm moving to another position. I had an interview and I will start working on in May. It's a part-time position in the administration, and I'll start with receiving the calls, and maybe in the sequence, if I can show that I can do that, maybe I will be able to go for the administrative work. And I see that this is something, and this is why I am present here in this webinar, because I think it's something we need to pay attention and to keep up with what is going on, and not just to say, oh, now I have work for the next 6 months. So I see that I needed to continue working on that, on networking, on paying attention on what's going on in the job market here, and also about the opportunities, because I'm studying at NBCC and I want in the end to have a good job. So it's important.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad to hear that you have had job experience, though, because Canadian job experience, I know, is something that newcomers really want, and that's kind of not the struggle, but where it deters them from moving forward, just because sometimes the rejection is hard.
Yes.
I think in your case, Women in Business New Brunswick, so it's WBNB, is a great resource to have. They have a mentorship program. I'm not sure, I think the beginning of April may have been a deadline. However, you could still reach out and even just talk to some people on their board. You might not be a part of the mentorship program, but you can still do some networking within them, just over email, and then maybe even ask for a Zoom call or to go for coffee or something like that. And then something else, I don't know if there's any other students on here, but you said you were studying at NBCC. Something that I always recommend is really get to know your professors or your teachers. They normally have a wide range of connections in the city. So even going to your professor and saying like, oh, like I would love a position in this, kind of give some brief detail, like, oh, I did this in the past, but I would like to do that in a Canadian setting. They could be like, oh, I have 2 people in mind that are perfect. I'll connect you via email and send you on your way. Professors always know everybody. They've had so many students come through and see them go off and make connections that way. So professors are also, and teachers are very good ways of networking as well.
Yes, and you know that it happened to me. I was looking for a job because this previous position was, my contract would go to finish. And then she said, oh, I know someone who is needing somebody to work there. And then I could do the interview, but it was not, I didn't feel like I would fit for the work, but it was a nice experience because it was my first interview in French. So that was really nice to learn.
Yeah, no, that's great. That's awesome. But yeah, those would be my recommendations. Yeah, I think the biggest part is just letting go, get out of your or step out of your comfort zone, and just show people who you are and be friendly. People love talking, and so you'll never have somebody that'll be short, I'm sure.
Yeah, thank you so much for the webinar today.
No worries, no worries. I see another question that says, from Marie, do we still put reference upon request on our resume? My recommendation would be no, only because they're always going to ask for references. I wouldn't put your references on your resume at all. Like, don't put in phone numbers and stuff like that because they'll ask for it. Something I recommend is that so if you're in the job process or job hunt process, you apply to a job and your resume doesn't have anything about references on it, just has all about you. If you get an interview, when you're going to that interview, whether it's virtual or in person, have your references ready to pass along. So if it's virtual, you might have to email your references to them directly after, or if you're in person, have it printed off and then just hand it to them. You just should always be ready with your references when you go to these interviews, and that's normally when they'll ask. Normally around the end of the interview, they'll say, oh, do you have any references for us? So that would be my recommendation. I don't think that you need to put references on your, or upon request on your resume anymore, just because they're going to be needed. It's just about being ready to give them to the hiring employer. But that is the answer to that question. Does anybody else have any more questions? No worries. If there's no more questions, we can go ahead and wrap up. I'm going to put my email in the chat. If you have any questions at all, feel free to send me a message and I'll try my best to answer it for you. And yeah. The recordings of these sessions, so if this is your first session, welcome. We've hosted 3 sessions so far, and we'll be continuously doing them. If you go on our MCAF Employment Facebook page, you can see the schedule for these events. I think we have another one on Friday called Interview Techniques, and then there's more next week. But these recordings are going to be on our YouTube page. So MCAF Employment Services is our YouTube page. So you just look that up in YouTube and then you can go on. You can also see networking clubs. So I did a networking club with Civic Tech and it'll be on there. I did a lot of I did a lot of networking clubs, so a lot of them are on there. And then we have some other great videos and resources on there as well. So the recordings from this session will probably be up next week sometime on YouTube. Does anybody else have any more questions before we head out for the day?
Do you plan to have any session about LinkedIn?
LinkedIn. I'm not sure if there's a session entirely dedicated to LinkedIn. However, we have this session called Ask an Employment Coach. So we had it not last Friday, but the Friday before. And then I think next Friday we have one again. And so you could always come to one of those sessions and ask about LinkedIn, and then there could be a tutorial or something like that. Okay. Or again, if you want to email me, we can figure something out about the sessions. There may be a session. I'm just not entirely sure right now.
Okay, thank you.
No worries. Oh, Danielle, who's on this call, is also one of my coworkers, and she said there's a Mastering LinkedIn on May 6th. So I think you just go on the Eventbrite page and sign up for it. Thank you, Danielle, for that info.
No worries.
If that is it, thanks everybody for joining me today. Thanks for the great questions. Again, if you have any questions at all, you can feel free to just send me an email.